Good evening. Welcome to the Geneva reading series, Metamorphosis. Be prepared to be changed. That's what that word means. Welcome. When I first got to Geneva, I was a man. I'm still a man, but now I am a family man. I have a Mindy and a Sawyer, 2 cats, and a vicious puppy named Moxie. Mindy is wonderful, so is Sawyer. Cats are the devil's work. If the devil was ever allowed to create one thing, and he wasn't allowed to create diseases, or daylight savings time, or evolution, or ultraviolet radiation, or George Lucas after 1983, I think he would have come up with cats, creatures so steeped in deception that only humanity could love them. Cats are the pride and envy of all parasites. Tapeworms, guinea worms, elephantiasis, lymphatic filariasis worms, lung fluke, human botfly, the flea, the mite, the bedbug, the head and body louse, and last and worst, the king of all vampirish organisms, Lexode scapularis, the tick, in all its various forms. These beasties worship cats with every flutter of their crispy little hearts because cats have figured out the game. Cats are essentially large ticks that are born looking like cuddly stuffed animal toys with their big eyes and fur-encased rubbery bodies. They purr and saucily squint the eye and roll cutely as they dip, dip, dip into their host's money bag with the consistency of Judas. Taking food and drink and snickety snacks and winter warmth and summer cellar cool. And then, when they've had their fill, they drag their adorable beloved carcasses into the pit beneath your bed and die. Their last breath is a long exhale of putrid fume that speaks all feline dislike for humanity better than any bullseye rash or river blindness or malaria strain ever could. Dogs are far worse. Right from the beginning, the adoption process is so difficult, it's amazing the Humane Society ever moves its goods. During the interview itself, the Society asks many questions. Many of them are difficult to answer. Question 1, why do you want this animal? I don't know, mostly for my son. Question 2, what led to this desire? He's always wanted a puppy. He talks about it all the time. Question 3, if you were born at a different time, say 1860, would you still desire this animal? I think so. Wait, when did you say? You think so? No, I mean yes, no, I would. Yes or no? Yes! Question 4, if you woke up one morning and you had the head of a dog, would you undergo reconstructive surgery so as to return your head to human shape? Or would you lovingly preserve the new and exciting canine form and learn to live with the change? I don't understand. Answer the question. I don't know. Answer the question. You answer all their questions against the backdrop of screaming animals and staff members who all squish around in rubber boots and smell like rubber and judge you. These staff members would sacrifice Francis of Assisi if it meant preserving one kitten's eyelash. And you either give up or answer question number 45 in a way you never would have answered it before, because now you want to win. You have to win. Question number 45, if you were lost in northern India and starving, possessing only a knife and the ability to make fire, and it was only you and your dog and you were both starving, would you eat your dog one leg at a time until you were carrying the dog like a suitcase? And then finally eat this horribly maimed yet still adorable suitcase? Or would you rather cut off your own arm to spite your selfishness and keep your loving, devoted companion alive one more day, and one more day, with your neck sacrifice, your big toe, then your calf muscles, then your ears, then your nose, then your lips? Do it! You shout. Kill me! Feed the dogs with my flesh! Anything! Keep the dogs alive! What about your wife and son? Yes, do it to Mindy. Do it to Sawyer, not me. Mindy! I don't care what you do to her. Tear her face off. Strip her to the bones. Not me. Mindy, not me. Congratulations, Mr. Williams. You are now the owner of a new puppy. When I first arrived at Geneva, I was a loner. Christian culture used to sing to me, "Single late 20s man, why don't you come to your senses? You've been church hopping and small group scouting for so long now. Oh, you're a picky one?" My mother said, "Stop worrying so much about attractiveness and sense of humor and intelligence and make someone acceptable in your imagination by being nice to them." I said, "Mom, you're crazy. I'm going to hold to my Olympian standards," and I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad for Mindy and Sawyer, for the cats, Newt and Tomboy, not the puppy, but we'll get into that. The name Tomboy traditionally means a girl who exhibits characteristics or behaviors considered typical of a boy. And though it's a clever name for a girl cat, it is confusing. The personal pronoun we often accidentally use for Tomboy, the girl, is he. And so Tomboy and Sawyer and Mindy and I and Newt and the dog are all a little confused. Tom is a talky cat. He talks. She talks. You can have a conversation with her. If she says, "Meow," and you say, "Meow," then 9 times out of 10 she's going to say, "Meow." She's always saying the same thing. I used to think that she was saying hi, 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 hi. But now I think she's saying she to correct us whenever we call her he. Tom isn't particular, she just likes the truth. Newt, on the other hand, only likes food. Treats, to be precise. She only talks when it's food time or when she encounters a person in the house. People remind her of food time. Her cry screeches out of a broken squeaker, a soft, high whine, which translated means treat. So Tom spends all day correcting our pronouns, and Newt hounds us with reminders of the little bag of pure, unadulterated cat heroin called Temptation's creamy dairy flavor cat treats. I looked at the ingredients one day and have never trusted Newt since. Imagine Noah's Ark, but instead of the animals walking 2 by 2 into the great door of the boat, they walk as couples into the infeed hopper of a wood chipper, with the discharge spout angling the red flood into Newt's perverted mouth. Newt is a cat who licks the salt off fingers, not because she wants to communicate affection, but because she suspects that the same material inside her creamy dairy-flavored treats is inside my hand, too. Inside all of me. My hand is merely the gateway to the rest of the happy, happy Meattown party that I could be. I've done some research. Yes, my friends, the stories are true. Cats will eat you when you die friendless and alone in your apartment. I know this because Newt would eat me while I'm alive. If I ever slept long enough, but I can't sleep very long when a cat is sitting on the night table leaning toward my face. If our insane puppy ever developed enough mind to realize what Newt knows, that my death is tasty, and my death is the mother of freedom, I would have a conversation with her. I'd be happy if Moxie's brain salvaged itself by becoming more than a drink of bubbling mush in a round bone cup. Even if her brain improved so much that she developed the ability to speak her hatred plainly, the same ability that Newt utilizes to speak the word treat at us, not as a command, I see now, but as an act of naming. The way Adam might have named the animals if he was a glutton, among other things. Putting his hand on lions, tigers, and bears as they pass by, naming them sandwich. 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 As they walk toward the wood chipper. Untouchable item number 2 in the garden. If Moxie only had a brain, she would hate me like a civilized thing, and I would love her for it. But in order to love something that hates me, I'd be forced to do what parents of rebellious children do. I'd whisper, "I love you," while the little intelligent devil slept. I'd creep into her room at night, modeling my every move after those of that mother in the book called Love You Forever by Robert Munsch. You know the one. I love that book. I mean, I did love it until I recently reread it. I opened Love You Forever trying to stir up the cud of nostalgia for an evening chew. Because it used to be a story that could make me experience emotions. But then I came to the part where the baby grew into a teenager, and that teenager grew, and I quote, grew and he grew and he grew until he was a grown-up man. He left home and got a house across town, but sometimes, on dark nights, the mother got into her car and drove across town. If all the lights in her son's house were out, she opened his bedroom window, crawled across the floor, and looked up over the side of his bed. If that great big man was really asleep, she picked him up and rocked him back and forth. I began to wonder what the story would be like if Robert Munsch wasn't holding anything back. After a long search, I found an unrated Canadian version of Love You Forever. This is what I read. That teenager grew. He grew and he grew and he grew. He grew until he was a grown-up man. He fled from home, but could afford only a house across town. His dreams of living on the opposite side of the globe from his mother had been shattered by the debilitating discouragement of her passive aggression. Sometimes, after drinking himself into oblivion, he foolishly neglected to lock his bedroom window and slept, incapacitated within the heavy sleep of inebriation, knowing somewhere deep in his dreams that soon he would not be alone. And on those nights, those dark, dark nights, the mother, hopped up on the charge of her borderline personality disorder, crab walked upside down, downstairs, climbed into her car and glided across town, the headlights blind. If all the lights in her son's house were on, which meant he was drunk, and of course he was, because she'd called him that morning to sing her unbearable anthem into his ear, while he operated the cardboard crushing machine at the local bottle redemption center. Yes, if all the lights were on, then he was sloshed beyond redemption and would have forgotten a few things, a few locks, the most important lock, in fact, that of the bedroom window. She laughed softly to herself as she unlocked the window and lifted the old panes, then slipped her body over the sill as smoothly as an egg yolk slides out of its cracked shell. She slithered across the floor, hooked her eyes up over the side of his bed. If that great, big, foolish, drunk man was really asleep, she'd pick him up and rock him back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. An easy feat for one with maniac strength. If he wasn't deeply enough asleep, she would inject him with general anesthesia, then rock him and sing, "I'll own you forever. You'll need me for always. As long as I'm living, you won't outlive me." I threw the book across the room and then carried it outside and burned it. But that night and every night since, I lock my windows. And I'm forced to face the shadowy form that watches me through the pane. The combination of an old woman standing outside your house looking through your bedroom window and a cat staring at your face for endless hours makes for light sleep. If some Nobel scientist had cared less about the mass of neutrinos and done something truly extraordinary, such as developing a medicine that stops puppies from being morons, I would find out if Highmark Insurance covers said medication, and then buy it and mash it up into Moxie's food and approach her like a friend. I'd say, "How do we kill the cats, Moxie?" The little chemically modified Moxie would say, "You still don't understand what you're dealing with, do you?" "Cats?" I said. "No. Perfect organisms. Their structural perfection is matched only by their hostility." "You admire them," I said. "I admire their purity. Survivors, unclouded by conscience, remorse, or delusions of morality." "Well, what do I do?" I said. "I can't lie to you about your chances, but you have my sympathies." Even conversations like this would be nice for a change. I'd take them any day instead of inverting Walmart plastic bags to make gloves for handling hot poop on the kitchen floor. I am gaining patience, though. Since I know that a person with self-control is better than a person who takes a city, I started hunting around for help. It turns out the Humane Society provides anger management classes. At my meeting, I discovered that the society has been watching me all along with miniature cameras planted all over the interior of my house. I should have read the following fine print. I hereby give the Humane Society the right to violate, on my behalf, the Code of Fair Information as established by the Privacy Act of 1974. Apparently they bug your car while you're filling out the adoption papers, and when you return for the animal's second series of shots, they bug your house. The anger management classes began with noise therapy. I was made to sit inside a windowless van surrounded by cages filled with mechanized dogs that were programmed to bark at decibels 10 times louder than is possible, and barking in patterns carefully designed to make human object number 737-2995 fly into a rage. I am human object 737-2995, according to the diode that was inserted between my shoulder blades on the day of Moxie's adoption. They injected the diode while I was petting my new animal. They crept up behind me and discharged their injector gun, and when I screamed, they said, "Bees." The diode pumped information into the caged robotic dogs and let them know when and how to intensify their efforts. Somehow, after multiple failures in which I attacked the cages with the effectiveness of a rabbit trying to fly an airplane, I passed. The next obstacle was called the Speak Sweet test. I had to speak sweetly to a society agent who wore a dog costume and slapped me across the face. Slap! Good morning, puppy. Slap! Would you like some breakfast? Slap! Aren't you a naughty little pancake? I love you. Slap! As my graduation gift from anger management, the agents reprogrammed my diode to send information back to the central computer only once a week at random times, with the promise that upon the dog's death of natural causes, the diode would be reprogrammed once again to record only my levels of grief. Also, the agents gave me that famous little book by Jan Flug entitled Puppies Are Like That. This is what Jan Flug's book is like, and I quote, "Puppies like to chew on things like bones or rubber balls or even sticks. This puppy is chewing on somebody's sneaker. He will have to be scolded. Puppies don't like to be scolded. They hang their heads and tuck their tails and look very sorry. But a few minutes later, their tails are wagging again. Well, puppies are like that." Little did the Humane Society know that their anger management training would enable me to do hateful things without sending even one negative blip back to headquarters. Much like Hannibal Lecter, I can now keep my pulse under 70 beats per minute, even while imagining multiple scenarios in which I stomp the puppy to oblivion and then consume the corpse. This is how I was able to write a new version of Jan Flug's book. My book, like hers, is called Puppies Are Like That. Puppies like to chew on things like bones, rubber balls, sticks, shoes, hand towels, important receipts, forks, spoons, collector's edition Star Wars figures, milk jugs, vomit of all kinds, cat hair, cats, floor, scum, acorns, bark, boots, pencils, plastic bags, cash, coins, hats, and scarves, jewelry, eyeglasses, television, remote, children, electrical cables, soda bottles, men, Bibles, women, and the finger bones of saints. Oh look, this puppy is chewing on somebody's dead grandmother's love letters to her husband, sacred family documents that can never ever be replaced. She will have to be beaten. Puppies don't like to be beaten. They look very sorry when you teach them lessons with a chicken tenderizer. A few months later, after the burial, you end up buying another puppy out of guilt and shame. Humans are like that. Puppies think it is great fun to bark. They will bark at nothing just to see what pitch of sound might produce an aneurysm in their master. Or they will bark at something that cries, like a baby who absolutely needs sleep in order to develop correctly. When puppies feel brave, they lick their master on the mouth. And if they're lucky, their tongue slips between the master's lips before he can pull away. And thus the puppy has planted a seed of all the disgusting things she has been licking all day long into the master's mouth and into his imagination forever. Puppies are like that. Puppies like to play together. Look, these puppies are playing tug of war with a handmade quilt passed down 10 generations. Puppies think that the world is a filthy rag, and they can do whatever they want to it. These puppies are having a nice race to see which one can catch the child they intend to bite on the face. This puppy is eating an autographed photograph of William Shatner to see if it tastes like beef. It doesn't. The puppy wants to see if it digests like beef. Silly puppy. Puppies like to dig, especially where the dirt is nice and expensive loam, covered handsomely in cedar chips. This makes puppies very dirty, like their hearts. But they don't care. Puppies are like that. When a puppy gets very dirty like this one and runs directly upstairs and rolls around on your bed on the blanket your mother knitted for you as a wedding present and makes that blanket forever smell like a cadaver in a bathtub, the puppy must be taken and placed within a deep bucket and then covered in cement. Puppies don't like being covered in cement. They hate to be wet and cold. They love it when mother comes home and finds father and screams at him and ruins his plan. But puppies don't like it when mother goes to the theater for rehearsal and Sawyer is up in his room playing games and father is in the basement with puppy quietly mixing cement. And when puppy cries, no one can hear her because father turned up the radio very loud. And even if Sawyer wanted to find out what was happening in the basement, he couldn't because father locked the basement door. Puppies don't like it when the cemented bucket they're trapped inside falls over the edge of the New Brighton Bridge and sinks immediately. Puppies have a hard time surviving a 70-foot drop and breathing through cement underwater. Puppies are like that. And so, all this to say that I've been getting much, much better in time. I call it sanctification by puppy. Go and get a puppy for yourself and get holy. Thank you.